So I think we're live. Anyway, welcome everybody, and welcome to the United Community Channel, and we're back again with our Friday night transfer talk show. Plenty to get into tonight. Loads to talk about around Manchester United, and yeah, it's good to be back. So, in terms of kind of running order, plenty to get into. Plenty of, I suppose, topics and points that we can discuss over the last few days. Obviously, Ralph Rangnick has had his final pre-match press conference as Manchester United manager, and I suppose it was a short interview, but he said a couple of interesting things that we'll get into in relation to transfers. Obviously, the transfer talk show is the name of the game. Plenty to discuss. Again, we have we're going to talk about Frankie de Jong, Dean Henderson. We're going to talk about Harry Maguire, Timber, Paul Pogba, Nunez, and plenty around Eric Ten Hag as well. Thanks everyone who's in the chat already. I see a couple of guys there. Stephen, good to see you. Keen is there as well, and we're live on TikTok as well. So yeah, it's good to see you all in, guys. I suppose let's start off with Ralph Rangnick's press conference. I mean, it was an interesting press conference. It was short, and it was, some of the things he came out with and said in relation to maybe his time at Manchester United, and what he thought maybe went wrong and what he thought was good. I suppose I have the transcript of it here, so we can pretty much go through it word for word. But I'd love to know your thoughts, as I get through it. So feel free to write up, to put in any thoughts or comments you might have. I suppose the first question that was said to him, basically, was around around team news and who's available on the weekend. And he basically deflected against the question, to be honest. So he was asked who's available. He said there's a number of players unavailable, but he didn't mention what players. So it was interesting. He mentioned Jadon Sancho and the fact that he's only coming back from illness and he's had one or two training sessions, so he's not sure if he's going to be fully available. I think the most interesting one was around Luke Shaw. It was the only kind of snippet of information he gave in relation to who's available and who's not. And Luke Shaw's wife has had his second child, or is in the process of having it, due today, I think. So basically, Luke Shaw would have been available for training tomorrow, but has potentially made himself unavailable. So look, I mean, everyone to their own. I'd love to know what you think about that. Like he's, there's been plenty of times in the past where if a player's had a newborn, that they've trained the next day and they've played. So I think it's maybe another way for one of our players to maybe get out of a game, and it's been common practice throughout the season. So I'm disappointed to hear that, but again, look, we don't know the full story. But again, he was kind of pressed on it, and nearly asked the question a second time, and he said, look, it's not fair for me to give anything away or say who's available and who's not until training is over tomorrow. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see what players are available and what players do actually make the squad. He was also asked then as well, obviously the burning question at the moment, because we know Ten Hag is in England. He's been photographed leaving the Manchester United offices in London, along with his assistant Van der Gaag and also Steve McLaren. So Ralph Rangnick was obviously, and it was always going to be asked, is that has he made contact with him? Ralph then says, we've been in contact via WhatsApp, and hopefully we'll have the opportunity to meet and speak in person either over the weekend or Monday morning at the latest. I'm looking forward to speaking with him in person and getting to know him in person. So there has been communication there. The extent of it, obviously, we don't know, but I think over the coming days and into next week, we'll we'll really get into maybe the depth of the conversation that we're getting into. But look, obviously, we mentioned it on previous videos and previous live streams that I mean, Ralph Rangnick is going to have a dossier of each player, and he's going to basically be telling Ten Hag who's good enough, who's not, who he can trust, who he can't. These are the cliques in the dressing room. So, if I was a Manchester United player and I was playing for my future, I would certainly be looking to go out against Crystal Palace on Sunday and trying to rip it up, basically. But let's see, we have Stephen. It was short but straight to the point, which is why I like Ralph. He's not afraid to admit the problems at United, unlike Neville Ferdinand and former players. I agree with you, Stephen, 100%. To be honest, in my opinion, Rangnick has been a breath of fresh air in Manchester United over the last few months since he's taken over. His knowledge of the game is fantastic, I have to say. Obviously, it hasn't worked out coaching-wise and managerial-wise, but he's never deflected away from the fact that Manchester United are in a dire situation and they need to improve drastically both on and off the field. So for that, I absolutely applaud him. Let's see, we have some people on WhatsApp as well. Ronnie says Wan-Bissaka, what do you think? I'll get into that, Ronnie, later on. I have points on it. Nothing to play for, to be honest. The season is over, basically. Might make the bench. Well, to be honest, and that's from 812 Superfast, I wouldn't say there's nothing to play for. I mean, we still have Europa League to get to, and I would be hoping that Manchester United are going out all guns blazing, because the Europa League, getting into the Europa League is drastically more important than getting into the Europa Conference League. Case in point, look at Eintracht Frankfurt the other night against Rangers, and Eintracht Frankfurt are mid-table in the Bundesliga, but next season they're going to be playing in the Champions League, and that has to be the goal and the vision, because top four is not going to be nailed on for Manchester United next season, regardless of who we sign. So I think getting into the Europa League is very important on Sunday. Very important. Let's just get through. We have one more from Paulie. The calm before the storm. Ralph has been nothing but calm. A fair play to him. Yeah, 100%, Paulie. Totally agree. I love his professionalism. He hasn't really. He's dropped little small hints that, about the maybe the atmosphere in the dressing room. I'm going to get into that as well on one of his answers to one of his questions here. And Albie says he keeps on getting asked if he's spoken to Ten Hag. It doesn't matter, because Rangnick will be paid off in the next few weeks and off to Austria with him. Well, to be honest, Albie, I really hope he stays. And according to a lot of reports, and Ten Hag, maybe I think Ten Hag came out and said as well, came out with positive words for Rangnick. I mean, given the circumstances that Manchester United are in at the moment, I think having the likes of Ralph Rangnick there, for the one and only reason that he is very good at finding young, talented players that are not really on the radar, and I think that's where United need to be strong in the next, certainly in this transfer window, and if not the next one or two, maybe into next summer as well, because let's say we don't get Europa League, we're not getting Champions League, the top players, and again, case in point, there has been rumours that Darwin Nunez has turned down Manchester United and Newcastle because they're not in the Champions League. Again, I'm going to get into that later in the video, but I think Ralph Rangnick, if he is kept on, his knowledge of young, talented players is quite good. Now, obviously, I understand where you're coming from, Albie, in relation to, he's going to Austria, but that's international football is nearly a part-time job, especially with, not a mega force like a Germany or a Spain or an England. He's managing Austria. I think if Eric Ten Hag is looking to sign a player, all he has to do is just pick up the phone to Rangnick. What young players are on the, for a striker or for a left back or for a centre midfielder, and Rangnick, is good at that. So I hope he sticks around for that reason alone. And let's see now. So yeah, next question then was in obviously it was leading on from the player team news that he was asked, will you play any of the Youth Cup winning players on Sunday? And Ranić says, unfortunately, Garnacho was ill the last couple of days. He was training with us until midweek last week, but then he had to drop out because he was ill. And I think today was the first training session that he was back again. He might well be in the squad, but I'm not sure if he's physical after the illness, capable and fit enough to play. Now, anyone who's been, follow me for throughout the the season, however long I've been doing this, I've been an advocate of the youth being given a run. Now, on Sunday we need 3 points more than we've ever needed them. Again, getting back to the fact that we need to get into the Europa Conference, or we need to get into the Europa League rather than the Europa Conference League. So for that reason, I would be reluctant to play the youth in this one-off game. Again, when he was asked the question, he only mentioned Garnacho. So I would be surprised if anyone else from that youth team is actually in the squad. Reports a few weeks back after the Liverpool game suggested that Ranić wasn't happy with Hannibal when he came on, and he's in discipline. He nearly got sent off. It was great to see at the time, given the fact United were 4-0 down, that someone come on with a bit of heart and a bit of desire, and me myself, I thought it was fantastic. But supposedly Ranić wasn't too impressed by it, and he actually demoted him back down to the under-23s because of it. And for that reason alone, I would be surprised if any of the youth play on Sunday. I think we need to put out our strongest team. Obviously we don't know what type of performance we're going to get, but if we put out our strongest starting 11 and they all perform, I think we can get 3 points against Crystal Palace. But in saying that as well, it could very easily go the other way. But I most certainly would I'd be cautious in terms of playing the youth on Sunday. So I agree on that one. Next question then that was put to Ranić was basically, how frustrated have you been that you've not been able to find the answers to the issues that we've been talking about, defensive issues, structural, not scoring goals, how frustrated have you been? And basically Ranić, this was the most interesting answer he gave. I'll read it in full. It's a bit, well, I won't read it in full, but I'll give you a synopsis of it. He said, I think until we dropped out against Atletico, I think that was a vital blow. And I think then we've lost confidence and energy in the team. But until then, I think we stabilised the team defensively compared to the team that shipped 4 goals against Watford away. Until that Atletico game, we were stable defensively. We also had a few games where we scored goals when we played well. So basically he goes on to say then that since the Atletico game, we didn't find our form, our shape again, and it has to go down, it has got to do with confidence, a little bit also maybe with mentality, team spirit, togetherness, and we've just fell short in those areas. This for me is the biggest disappointment, that we didn't manage to develop how should I say, a certain team spirit that helped us even in difficult parts of the league. This happens also to other teams. This for me is the biggest issue tonight. So I think given the main sentence that we can take out of that was since the Atletico game, basically mentality, team spirit, togetherness has fallen short, and it's basically been systematic in this team since, basically all throughout the season. And again, getting back to what we've been saying there, and a few people have been saying it in the chat, how good Ranić is and how professional he is in these interviews, but he's also able to drop subtle hints. And in my opinion, this is basically him letting the players know and letting the squad know that your togetherness, your mentality, your overall desire has just been Mickey Dunn subscribed. Thanks for the subscription, Mickey. But basically, yeah, that the mentality, the togetherness, the spirit of this team has not been good enough. And I love this about Ranić, and he's done it a few times throughout the season. I think it's been great to see. And I think he's dead right. He is absolutely dead right that this team has nowhere near been good enough and has been nowhere near consistent and together. And he's basically saying there's cliques in the dressing room that are going against him. So fair play to him. And I'm delighted he came out and said it, because it needs to be said with this squad. And I'm just happy, I always try and be as positive as possible when it comes to Manchester United, because it's a team I love, been following them all my life, so on and so forth. But the last maybe month to 6 weeks, I've been really, really, really positive about the direction that the club are going in. And I suppose the main contributor to that is the fact that I know that this squad is going to be basically ripped up and sold. Maybe not all this summer. It may take 12 to 18 months to get done, but it's going to get done. And we can see in the background that Ten Hag is already making these moves to get it done. So I'm absolutely delighted with that. Let's see what people are saying in the chat here. Deutschland 1933 said, who do you got going down, Leeds or Burnley? It's interesting. I'll get back to it later, because I'm going to do predictions on the games for the weekend. But to be honest with you, I would love to see Burnley go down. And that's controversial coming from a Manchester United fan saying they want Leeds to stay up. But I do want Leeds to stay up for two reasons. One, they're a huge club, and the rivalry with Manchester United is fantastic. So I think, that by all means should stay in place. But also the fact that Burnley sacked Sean Dyche throughout the season, I think was disgraceful. So for that reason, I'd love to see them go down. Superfast says, when he said about the core bunch, good players to build around, he's made his mind up on them. Yeah, absolutely, 100%. And I'm going to get into that in his next answer. And Papa Mike says, Ralph has been a breath of fresh air, not in results, but in calling out the crap going on at the club. 100%. And that's why I think it's important that we keep him there, because he knows how to build clubs. More so than maybe managing and coaching, he knows how to build clubs from the ground up and get in right personnel. So without a doubt. But yeah, lads, thanks for everyone who's in. Just before I read out some more, please hit smash a like on the video on YouTube and on TikTok. I'd really appreciate it. It helps out the channel a ton. Hit subscribe as well and follow along if you haven't done so as well. Keane says, do you think Garnacho is important to this side? I think he's going to be important, Keane, down the line, without a doubt. I think he has, without a doubt, the talent to play for Manchester United. He looks like a Manchester United player more than anything else. His confidence, his ability on the ball, he doesn't shy away. So yeah, without a doubt. Then Albie says, but Jack, stay on for what? A consultant role. John Murtagh and Fletcher have the director of football roles. I don't think we need him, to be honest. But anyway, we will see. Yeah, look, and look, as a consultant, I would be happy with it. It's his knowledge around players, and young players, that I would keep him more than anything else. Stephen Conley says, I would like to see James Garner get a chance next season personally, but if Forest come up, they'll try buy him, I think. Well, to be honest with you, Stephen, by all accounts within the club, James Garner is seen as one of the most how do I say it? He's seen as one of the most important young players in the next few years. I think he will be brought back. I think he's the kind of player that Erik Ten Hag can really get the best out of. Ten Hag likes to, by all accounts, likes to get young players. He likes to develop them, improve them. So I think for that reason alone, he will be. I think he's gonna come back next season. Now, look, I don't think he's going to be playing 35 games in the season, but if he can come back and play 15, 20 games, maybe play a bit in the Europa League, FA Cup, Carabao Cup, absolutely, and then maybe play 10 games in the league, I think it'd be great for him. Albie says, same as that, Stephen. He has to come back and be given chances no matter what Forest do. We need good young players for our system in the squad next year. Yeah, 100%, Albie, totally agree. And Mickey says, we cannot blame a manager ever. No manager has been given enough time to mould their style into a team. Ranić done what he could with a bunch of spoiled players. I mean, you hit the nail on the head there, Mickey. Like, I said it on a previous video that this current squad, and the performance levels that have been putting in this season, you could nearly see it coming, because we have Ferguson players left, we have obviously Mourinho, Van Gaal and Solskjaer players all mixed together, and I think Solskjaer done a good job in relation to keeping the players happy. And when you go from players basically getting what they want with the likes of Solskjaer to a manager that doesn't take any crap and is going to, it's my way or the highway, performances were bound to just fall off a cliff, so I wasn't overly surprised, but you're spot on there. Stephen says, well said, Mickey, it's the players that are the problem, they just throw the managers under the bus. And Roy Keane said it, what was it, when Ole first got the job, he said these were the same players that threw Mourinho under the bus, and they'll do the same to Solskjaer given the chance, and he was dead right, Let's see what people are saying on TikTok. So we have Positive Vibes said, Ralph is key to the rebuild of our club, and I'm glad I found this page today. No problem. Thanks for joining. You're more than welcome. Superfast says he's a championship player though at the moment. Well, I think any player can be a championship player if they're playing in the championship. I think given the chance and given the hopefully the good atmosphere that Ten Hag is going to build around the club, playing with the likes of Ronaldo there, and if for example if Jong comes in or so and so, I think it would be beneficial for him. Let's have a look. And we have Mickey there. There is 3 key players in the team that were more worried about their sponsors and their social media. Lingard got put on loan because of his attitude, with Rashford also seen by the England manager. Yeah, 100%, Mickey, and it's something we've covered previously in the past, these social media players and social media FC. And I'm kind of happy that them type of players, Lingard and Pogba, are massive on it. Now look, obviously Rashford has done a lot of work outside of the game, but it's more so based on charity work and things like that, so you can never knock him on that. But again, as fans and as supporters of the club, we want to see players putting the club first and playing for the badge, and and that stuff can come secondary, and that's exactly what we want to see. On to the next question then. Again, it was just previously mentioned there. Ranić was basically asked what he thought the positives were, and what positives he would be given to Ten Hag when he's taken over. And Ranić says, I strongly believe that there are a core of players that are top, that are well worth and good enough to play for this club, and hopefully most of those players will still be here next season. As I said earlier, if the board, Eric, the scouting department will help them with all the issues that I can bring to help them also. If we bring in the right mentality players, the right quality players, I'm positive that we can not only bring the club back on track, but back to the top. And this is what it's all about for the next couple of weeks. Maybe it's not going to happen. And be possible in one transfer window, but I'm very positive that it can happen in the next 2 or 3 windows, and that's exactly what we're saying. And I think the positivity and the confidence that Ranić talks about in terms of transfer windows and getting certain types of players into the club, I think for that reason alone, I am desperate for him to stay, even in this consultancy role. And and I'm fully expecting that after, into maybe the first couple of months of maybe the transfer window and maybe into next season, we'll probably very rarely hear Ralph Ranić's name mentioned in the media by anyone at the club. But that doesn't mean that he's not doing work in the background and recommending players. So, and I think that can only be a good thing, because if we get distracted by what's Ralph doing, or is he doing this, or is that Ten Hag's man, or as long as the right players are brought in with the right mentality, Manchester United players, then fantastic. And I think everyone can get on board with that. And finally, he was asked, with your role, having spoke briefly to Ten Hag, do you have more clarity on what it will be, how much he wants you to be involved? Again, this is getting back to what we we're just saying. And he says, yeah, we spoke in detail about all the different areas where I could maybe be of help. It's not that easy or not that difficult to know which areas this could be. Again, that's basically saying Ranić knows what areas need to be strengthened. I think we showed in the last 15 years with Hoffenheim and Salzburg and Leipzig that even for clubs that are not prominent as Manchester United, it's possible to identify, develop. I lost my way there. It's possible to identify, develop, even at one stage sell. Now I know Manchester United should not be a selling club, but rather developing and buying club. That it is possible. What is most important is that the club finds players for whom it is the next logical step in their career to develop their sporting career. And if that happens, I'm more than positive that I can hopefully be encouraging our fans and being positive towards our fans that we will bring Manchester United back to the top. What more do you want with an answer? And this is what I love about Rangnick. I just, his knowledge of, again, getting back to building clubs. And I would like to see fans not judge him on his performances and as a manager, because his best performances have come as building clubs, building squads, identifying players, and that answer alone just, it'd warm the soul of any Manchester United fan, I think. But yeah, let's have a look at some of the chats coming in. Papa Mike says, totally agree with Keane. If we have Fred and Scott centre mid, we will never win the league. Yeah, I think you're right with that one. When's the new Manchester United shirt out? I'm not 100% sure, to be honest. I'll have to look into that. Mike says, right mentality is key and not just there for the money. Exactly. Manchester United has to be first. And as much as we hate talking about Liverpool, you have to look at their squad and say what they're doing. There's no real egos. There's no social media aspect to them. You don't see them, tweeting all the time and this kind of stuff. And that's the kind of player Manchester United really need. Superfast says, would you rather Nunez and De Jong or 4 upgrades? I'm going to get into that, and just remind me of that as well, because it's an interesting one, because I'm going to have a look at the actual transfer budget as well and see what way that can work. And Mr. Golden Pants says, go on United. Now, what have we got here on YouTube? We have Mickey says, Ten Hag will do great. He's a whole new board, and hopefully this board will let the manager actually manage instead of having to ask permission like previous managers have had to do. Yeah, and exactly. And by the looks of it, John Murtagh seems to be taking a step back away from the football decisions, and he's letting football and people decide the football and decisions. So let's hope that continues. Ralph will be in scouting, and that will be under Ten Hag's instructions of who he wants. Yeah, I think so. And according to reports over the last few days and weeks, that Ten Hag is basically going to have the final say on all things to do with football within the club. So, if you have people behind him that are pulling in the same direction, it can only be a positive, Mickey says, what are your thoughts on Dean Henderson? Should we sell alone? I'm going to get on to Dean Henderson. I'm getting through the actual press conference, and I'm going to go on to transfer talk now in one moment. The only players for me that deserve to be starting next year is David De Gea, Fred and Ronaldo, and the rest of the players were shocking. Yeah, I agree with you there, Stephen. And I hate the David De Gea and Ronaldo slander. Only for them would we bottom half of the table. Without a doubt, I actually seen a stat which frightened the life out of me, was that De Gea's saves leading to goals, without them and without Ronaldo's Premier League goals, we would be sitting somewhere like 15th or 16th. We would be close to relegation. It's frightening. And Albie says, I like the man. Don't get me wrong. He has been a breath of fresh air in the media. But as I said, I think he will be paid off. If not this summer, next. Yeah, well, look, it's going to be interesting to see. And look, we'll take it as it comes, and if he does, by all means, we'll wish him the best. And Sean says, how much do you think United will get for Henderson and Wan-Bissaka? So I'm going to get on to the transfer news now, guys. If you haven't already done so, I see on TikTok there we're on 1.1 thousand likes. Let's try and get it up to 2,000 there. Hit that like button. And anyone on YouTube who hasn't already done so, if you can smash a like on the video and subscribe if you haven't done so already, it would be great. So, transfer news. Let's start off with obviously the main one that's been discussed over the last couple of weeks. Obviously, is Frankie De Jong, and it's gone kind of quiet. Now that's not a bad thing. Never is a bad thing. It just means I always take it in fact that maybe there's work being done in the background, there's negotiations being going on. Who knows? Because I think if the deal was off, we would have heard about it. So obviously, you know, reports have come out in the last couple of days, and they're more so on the Barcelona side. These are being fed that basically, if Manchester United offer Barcelona £60 million sterling for Frankie de Jong, that they'll sell him. Now, other reports have also come out saying that United are actually standing firm and they don't want to blow a large amount of their transfer budget on one player. Now, if you're looking at 60 million, you know, I think the budget in pound sterling is about 125 million. So if you're looking at 60 million for one player, that's half your transfer budget gone straight away. And United seem to be holding firm on the price. Now, Barcelona, I think the ball is in Manchester United's court, because Barcelona are desperate for money. And Manchester United can basically go to Barcelona and say, look, we'll take him off your hands. You know, we'll give you 50 million for him. You know, you need the money. You know, he's not a player that, you know, the fans will get on your back if you do sell him, but you know, he is, you know, we can help you out in terms of your financial problems, you know. So I think the ball is firmly in Manchester United's court, because there doesn't seem to be too much interest from other parties, other clubs, in terms of Frankie de Jong. But what I'm most happy to see, and it's something that has happened far too often with Manchester United down through the years, is that we've been kind of taken advantage of in the transfer market an awful lot. And we've overpaid for players, we've given them ridiculous money, and it was basically the fact that, you know, if let's say I was the president of Barcelona and I heard Frankie de Jong, you know, he has a value of 50 million and Manchester United are in, right? Well, stick another 20 million on it because they'll pay. And I'm actually happy to hear reports coming out that Manchester United are holding firm and they're not going to be taken advantage of in the transfer market. And I think this just goes to show maybe the changes that are going on in the background at the club that we might not see. Obviously, the manager and the players is something that is most popular with fans, but you know, what's going on in the background, it does seem to be encouraging, you know. Let's just see. Mickey's saying, I think Ten Hag will be working with De Jong personally on assuring him for Champions League football. Now, it won't be next a year, but I believe we can get him in 3 years. We could contend. Yeah, look, exactly. And Ten Hag is going to have a massive role to play in getting Frankie de Jong to the club if he does come, you know. Let's just have a look and see. Superfast says, if Martial is a fit, I think he'd play well under Ten Hag. Look, to be honest with you, I'm a bit reserved on Anthony Martial. I think he falls in between the bracket of keeping a player and getting rid of, you know, that kind of group of players like Pogba and Lingard. He's not the social media aspect to it, but I just think his attitude and his performance levels have been so inconsistent. I think maybe it might be time for Manchester United just to cut their losses. Now again, look, this is just my own opinion. I wouldn't be disappointed if he left, let's just put it that way. But by all means, if Ten Hag wants to keep him and thinks there's a place there for him, I will 100% support him, you know, in whatever he decides. Mike says, Martial bought a sale for me, rotten attitude. Mike says, who's your captain for next season, mate? In terms of captaincy, I mean, I think it would be beneficial for Harry Maguire. I'm going to get into Harry Maguire in a sec. We have some news on him, but I think it would be beneficial for him to actually not be captain. I think it would nearly be a weight off his shoulders. Again, there's no one else you could give it to other than Ronaldo, and I think long term, you know, it would depend on performances from players next season, because obviously Ronaldo only has 1 year left on his contract. So I would give it to Ronaldo next year, and you know, next summer then we can maybe have a look at it again. Let's just have a look and see here. Stephen says, Maguire is a prime example of overpaying. He was only about 40 million, but of course we have Leicester for an extra 40 million. Yeah, exactly. And I think if Maguire came to Manchester United for 40 million, I don't think the pressure would be half as bad as it is on him, you know. And players come out and say, the price tag doesn't matter to me if I have an 80 million price tag or a 800,000 price tag, but it does, and especially when he was given the captaincy so quick, I think it really did affect him. But look, again, we said it in our previous video, I think last Friday on our last week's transfer show, that if Eric Ten Hag comes out and says, I want to keep Phil Jones as my number one defender and I want to bring back Johnny Evans from Leicester, then we just have to get behind him and we have to support him. And whatever he decides, it's important that we give him time. And now if he does do that, I would be very surprised, and I would be supporting him. But in the back of my mind, I'd be saying, "Oh Jesus, here we go now again," But no, look, we'll see what happens. Mickey says, I don't think bringing former players back on a rebuild is the way right now. We need to look at a fresh blood who hasn't been exposed to the United ways. Yeah, I agree there 100%, Mickey. That's, you've hit the nail on the head there. Young, hungry players, like Ranić said in his interview, identifying young players who are looking to take the next step up in their career, who are hungry to make a name for themselves, So, without a doubt. Albie says, Henderson needs to go for his career. We got what we needed out of him. Kick up the arse, and De Gea needed. Every keeper needs competition for focus. De Gea lost his for a while, but now he's back. Yeah, exactly. And that moves me on, Albie, nicely onto Dean Henderson and the transfer talk that's been going on with him. And only up until yesterday morning, Dean Henderson was basically on his way to Newcastle. And Manchester United came out and slapped a £40 million price tag on his head. Now, that basically has put that has basically put Newcastle, it's given them cold feet, and they don't really want to pay 40 million for Dean Henderson, and now they're kind of distancing themselves for it. And it says reports today from, I think it was from Fabrizio Romano, says Newcastle are unlikely to meet Henderson's 40 million valuation, preferring a season-long loan. Although negotiations have not reached an advanced stage, there is interest from other parties, including Bournemouth. Now, look, I don't think there's going to be any lack of competition for Dean Henderson's signature. I think he will go this summer, and I think he should go because he hasn't gotten the game time he deserves. I think maybe, in my own opinion, I can see him as being one of the players within the squad that's maybe doesn't have the best attitude when he doesn't play, and could add towards a poor atmosphere in the dressing room. Again, 40 million I think is quite high. I would be happy if we could get anywhere between 20 and 30 million for him. I'd be happy, because obviously that gives us more money going back into the transfer market to sign more players. But again, I'd like to know what you think. Do you think Manchester United should sell him, or do you think maybe they should loan him? Me personally, I think the loan option is gone now. He's been out on loan before, and look, if you haven't got your place by now, I think it's time for you to go. So I would maybe cut ties and maybe sell, because we've United have been burnt in the past by these loan moves where players will go out on loan, and before you know it, they only have a year left on their contract, and they run down their contract and they go for nothing. So I think it's time to cut ties with him. Let's have a look here. Mike says, tap the screen, share the live, guys. I appreciate it. Yeah, if you can share it with anyone, please do, and keep hitting them likes. Superfast says, remember how De Gea lost captaincy, came out after defeat, spoke the truth, and then stripped. Yeah, I mean, you're dead right there. And I think that was under Mourinho, maybe, was it? But Mourinho didn't take any bullshit when it came to that either. But it has to be done in a constructive way as well. You can't have players coming out every week and criticising their teammates. I mean, Roy Keane was basically thrown out of Manchester United for it. Now, look, I mean, that was a long time ago as well. And Cotley subscribed. Thanks for the subscription, Cotley. Appreciate it. But yeah, I mean, it's certainly interesting there. And Mike says, no comparison. Great to see Aaron Wan-Bissaka is not in Ten Hag's plans. New right back badly needed. Yeah, and it is without a doubt. And it looks like Brandon Williams is not going to be at the club next season either. According to reports, United are open to offers for him. So it does look like United potentially are going to be in the market for a new right back. And he says, let me just see. I still have faith in Sean. Ten Hag will get him going again. Well, I think Luke Shaw needs to get himself going more than anything, because he's been so hot and cold. And his comments when he came out when he was playing with England, that it's such a nicer experience playing with England and things like that. He burnt a couple of bridges with me there, but look, I would like to see him get back to his best. Who have we got here on YouTube? Mickey is saying, as much as I don't want to sell, he should leave now, preferably on a loan, and let him get weather between the posts. But we need to loan him to a Premiership team. And Sean says, I would like Ten Hag to bring Amad Diallo through more and show us what he is capable of doing. I think he could be a very good player. Yeah, I mean, he's someone who just kind of fell off the radar, really. He wasn't getting much game time for Rangers, so it would be interesting to see. I think maybe another year's loan for him, I would think, but it'll be interesting. And look, again, it all comes down to Ten Hag. Whatever he decides to do, we just have to get behind him. Albie says 100% Jack on Henderson, yeah. And Stephen says, if we wasn't to get Anthony, what would you think about Rafinha? Personally, I think he's going Barcelona, so would Nkunku tickle your fancy? So Rafinha, I think, would be a hard deal to do, basically just between the Leeds and Manchester United rivalry. He is a fantastic player, but Rafinha, for me, he's almost like a Richarlison. I don't like players with pusses on their face on the pitch. He just looks like he's in bad humour all the time. Now, I don't want players going around smiling either, and thinking they're happy, and where there's a job to be done. But look, I mean, if he's been linked with Barcelona, obviously he's not a bad player. I mean, look, if Manchester United got him, I wouldn't be disappointed, without a doubt. I would prefer maybe an Anthony or I'm not really sure. I don't think we actually are in for any more wingers other than that. But look, again, I'll be on board for whoever we get. Thumbs up from Cottle. Thanks for joining, Cottle. Thanks for the chat, man. You're more than welcome. And Mickey says, well, let's be honest. How do you feel with Maguire standing beside you? Shaw will go back to where he was. Yeah, look, and that's completely understandable as well, Mickey. Yeah, if you have a couple of players in your defence not performing, it doesn't take much to bring down other performances there as well. And Cottle says, I think we should go for Rafinha if Leeds get relegated. And yeah, without a doubt, I mean, he's certainly an option. Let's see what guys are saying on TikTok. We have Ronnie says, did you see Mbappe not going to Real? And also, hello, good to see you, Ronnie. Yeah, I did. And quickly to touch on the Mbappe, according to reports, PSG are, to keep him at the club, they're offering him unbelievable money, and they're also going to offer him the opportunity to have a say in decisions not to do with the team, like managerial appointments and coaching decisions and things like that, which I think it just goes to show the lack of class in that club, to be given a player the kind of authority to decide who the next manager is going to be. I think it's just absolutely disgraceful, and it just goes to show the direction that football is going in, and I'm disgusted to hear it. I really am. I'd love to know what you think of it. Let me know in the comments, but I think it's disgraceful, absolutely disgraceful. A player's job is to play for the team, and a player should never have anything to do with club decisions in terms of managerial appointments and things like that. So absolutely no way. User says, would you sell Dean Henderson? Yeah, I would. I think it's time for him to go. Superfast says, people are sleeping on how good Ronaldo will be next season. Tactics forced to suit him equals monster. Yeah, I mean, 100%. You've hit the nail on the head there. I mean, he's got 20 plus goals this season in a very poor side. So if we can get a system to suit him, absolutely, I think he can burn it up. And plus, backup allowing him to play one game a week only. Look how good he was when he was rested. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and back to what? Let me just see who said it there. Someone mentioned Nkunku, and I mean Nkunku for me. I would like Nkunku over any other player this transfer window. I think he's absolutely unbelievable. I think he's fantastic, and I wouldn't write it off either. Now there hasn't been any whispers of it. There hasn't been any reports of it. But the only thing I would say is that Ralf Rangnick has a very good connection with Leipzig, and that can only be a positive for Manchester United. So for that reason alone, I would take him over anyone. I would take him over Nunez. I would take him over Anthony. I would go for him before I go for Jong if we could get him. I think he'd be absolutely unbelievable. Let's see what we says. We have Cottle says, "Nice channel, bro. Nice to see an Irish United fan channel." Oh, thanks, Cottle. Appreciate the kind words. Make sure you like and subscribe and share. Mickey says, "What about Timber? If we get the deal done, do you think his impact alongside Varane and Shaw could make us defensive stronghold?" That segues me lovely into Timber, because I was going to get onto him next, and according to reports, Manchester United are in advanced talks with Ajax for Timber. Now, it's basically just a fee and personal terms are left to be agreed. So what do I think of this? I'm delighted with it. I think he's a fantastic player, given the fact that so many clubs have been interested in him in the last 12 months. And according to reports only coming out today, that it looks like he's turned Bayern Munich down, which has basically paved the path towards Manchester United, because they've been the only real two clubs in for him. Now, what does that mean for our defence? And again, I've read from the Mail today. Chris Wheeler has come out and said in the Mail that Harry Maguire's future could be in doubt if Ten Hag strengthens in that position by returning to Ajax for Timber, and also for Ajax's other centre back, Lisandro Martinez. So Ten Hag wants a centre back. Now, if we have Varane, Timber and Maguire as our three main centre backs next season, I know which two I'm going to play. I'm going to be playing Varane and Timber beside each other all day. Now, that doesn't mean Harry Maguire is not going to get game time, and who knows, maybe Ten Hag can get something out of him that previous managers have not been able to. I think it would take the pressure off him, maybe not having to play every single game again if the captaincy is given to someone else. I mean, it's going to be a very interesting few weeks, because it's the first real issue that Ten Hag is going to have to discuss is, his captaincy, and is someone else going to come in and potentially take Maguire's place. But I would be surprised if Maguire starts the majority of the games next season. I really would, because obviously his performances haven't been good. But the season before, obviously we played a low defensive line for counter-attacks under Solskjaer, but I don't think Harry Maguire is suited to a high line. He hasn't got the pace to play high, and balls in over the top, I think he's going to be exposed an awful lot. So I would be looking at, if we do get the likes of a Timber or a Pau Torres or a Lisandro Martinez, I think they're a lot more capable of playing a high line alongside the likes of Varane. So absolutely. And also, just while we're on the point in terms of centre backs, Ten Hag is looking to clear out the squad, and it's been stated today that Manchester United will be listening to offers for Wan-Bissaka, and also Eric Bailly and Phil Jones, with all three set to leave this summer. So big changes for the defence. It is going to mean we're going to have to get in a full back and at least one centre back as well, because if Wan-Bissaka goes and Brandon Williams go, we need to obviously get in another full back. And if Bailly and Jones goes, which they're more than likely going to, we need to get in one, if not two, centre backs as well. So yeah, just while we're on that, let's just see, can we get through some of the comments real quick here. Stephen says, Shaw is exactly like Martial, had one good season out of 6 and not good enough for United. erring on your side there, Stephen. I have to say he's going to have a very, very consistent season for me to think right, But I don't think he's going to go. I don't think he's going to be sold by any means. And also said I would go in for Kionde because he plays centre back, right back, and left back. Yeah, he is a very good option there as well. I haven't really been seeing any links with him. And Albi says Nkunku over Rice. Now Nkunku tends to play further up the field, Albi, I think, than Rice. He can play a lot of positions. He's a lot more versatile. But I mean, I would take Declan Rice in a heartbeat. I just wouldn't take him for the price that West Ham are quoting. Absolutely no way. Mohammed is in. Good to see you, Mohammed. Good evening to you. Man United must win against Palace on Sunday. Absolutely. Big Sunday ahead. Big 3 points needed. Mickey says, honestly, no one is going to buy Maguire. Drop him to reserves and let him see out his contract. Yeah, well, I mean, if the likes of Bailly and Jones are going to go, he's going to be kept around because, even if we do get 2 defenders in, we would have Maguire, Lindelof, Varane, and then whatever 2 defenders we sign, so. Albi says, Maguire will be in trouble if we're playing in a 2 with a high line. A back 3 and deep is the only system for Maguire can play. Yeah, I totally agree, Albi. And the one good thing about that is that will give us options to play different formations. If Ten Hag decides, because the one thing that I don't like to see with a team, and I think Solskjaer was criminal for it, he never changed his tactics and his formation, and if we can have Maguire there who's well able to play in a 3 at the back, it will keep opposition teams on their toes going into games against us, so absolutely. And Cottle says Wan-Bissaka is a championship level player in my opinion. Yeah, I think, look, going forward he's poor. I mean, his one-on-one defending is spectacular. I think he getting his leg in and winning balls, close contact, one-on-one defending. But outside of that, he's poor. His passing is poor, his link-up play is poor, his crossing is poor, his heading is poor. So without a doubt, not good enough. Let's see what people are saying here on WhatsApp as well. Just a few to get through. If you could choose Rice or Phillips as DM, I would choose Rice, Mike, any day. Superfast says, Tier 1, Journo saying Ralph was surprised and Nkunku wasn't on transfer list. Yeah, without a doubt. And I would like to see that maybe change and United go in for him. Lindelof's not bad, good ball playing centre back. Yeah, without a doubt. I think he would be an ideal backup to the likes of Varane as a ball playing centre back, without a doubt. Robert Fresh is in. Robert, I was going to mention he's not quick enough, but in a high line. Yeah, exactly. And Mike says, wait, is Phil Jones still at the club? He is still at the club. But in fairness, look, I think he's played 3 games this season for United, and he plays with his heart on his sleeve. In fairness, so I would never question his professionalism or anything like that. And Rai is in. Maybe sometime on the bench with no pressure on Maguire might bring the best out of him. Yeah, I agree with you 100% there, Rai. It's exactly what I was saying previously myself. And Timber will be a full back potentially. Yeah, he will. So one good thing about him, if he does come to the club, he is able to play right back as well. I don't think he will be prioritised as a right back. I still think we're going to go out and get a full back, and he'll be mainly kept for centre back. And Gary is in and says, would you not like to keep Bailly? I think he's a good centre back. Yeah, look, to be honest, I have absolutely no problem with Eric Bailly. I think he's a good ball-winning centre back without a doubt, and I would certainly be happy to keep him there. But I think he's been treated so poorly by the club. Solskjaer came out and gave him, was it a 2-year extension on his contract, promised him game time, and just never gave it to him. So I don't think the club owe him anything, and I think he's basically made up his mind and says, look, I want to leave. So I wouldn't hold it against him. I don't think he's been treated well. And Supervast says, funny how people are saying Martial has a bad attitude and get rid. Rashford is the exact same. Oh yeah, look, and I mean, saying someone has a bad attitude doesn't take it away the fact that maybe someone else does as well. But I think Martial, not mainly a bad attitude, but I think he's been so inconsistent. Really, I think it's just is the killer blow. And Jason is in, and Jason says, do you think De Jong will come in? We just touched on it, Jason, a few minutes ago, and it's certainly still a possibility. I forgot to mention it previously, actually. Xavi only came out today in his interview and said that we're going to try and sell other players before we sell De Jong to raise money for the club. So basically, and I covered this on a previous video, that basically if they can't sell other players, De Jong will be on the chopping board. So that's what we're all hoping for, you know. Mickey says, but on the high press, we need to take Ronaldo out for an outright striker and play him as either a wingman or in front of the striking duo. Yeah, but again, like I said, Mickey, it's options. You know that, you know, we have the likes of Ronaldo there that can play, you know, say in the current system, he can play in different systems, but the more options we can have, absolutely the better. And he says, my issue with Bailly is that his backtracking decision making. Yeah, he can tend to be a bit erratic in his tackles and stuff like that, but yeah, you certainly can't question his commitment or his effort. Bailly not good enough, says Albi. Bailly not good enough, boys. Brave lad and great heart, but a liability and always injured. He's one of the clear out, please God. Yeah, well, look, again, I would be surprised if he is here next season. But again, it all comes down to Ten Hag and what he wants to do. Superfast says, keep going with the channel. It's great to have a discussion and to be involved, unlike other channels. Yep, no, it's great to have you guys. I just love talking about football, so it's great to have you on. The more you can, more of you can come in and join the conversation, the better. Make sure you all do smash a like on the video if you haven't already, though, guys. I see we're up to 3,500 likes on TikTok, so it's fantastic. Make sure you're hitting that like and sharing as well. We're going to try and get through the last few points here as well. Outgoings. I suppose the big outgoing at the moment is Paul Pogba. And first of all, the whole a week or so ago, he was being heavily linked with Manchester City, and reports today have come out and basically said that Paul Pogba, he did agree personal terms with Manchester City, but turned down a move to the Etihad Stadium because he was concerned about the backlash from Manchester United supporters and that life would become unbearable living in the Northwest. You can fucking sing it, son, it would be. Because for a player like Pogba to cross the divide and go to Manchester City would just absolutely be criminal, you know. And I think I was disappointed. Even there's a lot of people coming out and saying that was a positive thing for Pogba, and he had the club in Manchester United in mind when he made that decision. No, he didn't. He already had personal terms agreed, and the fact that he didn't make the move because he himself thought that life would have, you know, and the backlash from Manchester United supporters would have been too much, means that he was thinking of himself and not Manchester United. So, good riddance. Absolutely good riddance. The fact that he was agreeing personal terms with Manchester City, you know, and the fact that this is twice now he's going to leave Manchester United for free. Bye-bye. And don't come back a third time. But Juventus, it looks like it's going to be his destination, according to reports today. Fabrizio Romano has come out and said it as well. Juventus are ready to offer Paul Pogba a contract worth $8 million a year plus $2 to $3 million in bonuses. Juventus are planning a new direct contacts with Paul Pogba's agent in the coming days. They feel he's tempted by Juventus comeback, even if their proposal is lower than Paris Saint-Germain's proposal. So it's look, Paul Pogba is going to leave this summer. I think it's time to go. I'm happy he's gone. I'm happy that we're moving on to a new era of hopefully young, hungry players who want to play for Manchester United and not want to play for their own brand. So bring it on. Let's see what else people are saying here. Mike says, just a quick question, mate. Do you think of match fixing in League of Ireland? To be honest, Mike, I really don't know. I haven't really heard anything about it now, or I haven't looked into it at all, but it's something I will take a look at. Superfast says, what do you think of Rooney saying he would play Lingard? I think he could play a role if directed. Super fast. The only thing I'm going to say about that is Rooney saying that Lingard could play. He was talking about Derby, in my opinion, because other than that, Lingard is just not good enough. So I don't think if that was me, I would be talking about Derby County playing in League One for Lingard, not Manchester United. I think he's not good enough. I'm happy that he's moving on. Robert says, let Paul go to City. He would he would frustrate them as well. Yeah, maybe it's kind of an inside job to get him to go to City to bring him down. And let's see. Mickey says, I believe in Ten Hag. He has the Fergie mentality. Get in, do your shift, and push the players. Take no crap manager. Absolutely, and that's exactly what. The current squad we have, that's exactly what they need. They need someone to be in charge and tell them what to do and when to do it. And then Mickey says, honestly, let him go to City. They will have another Balotelli situation with him. Yeah, but look, I was just so disappointed the fact that he was after agreeing terms. It just goes to show the lack of loyalty to the club that basically nurtured him all the way up and then brought him back and gave him sick money. Just to be agreeing a deal with City was just criminal. Kieran is in. What's your top 5 transfers for this summer? Top 5 transfers. If I could take 5 players, again, we'll do it kind of in terms of keeping within the budget, right? So we'll say 150 million. I would like. Oh, jeez, here we go. Let's see. We'll start from the back. I will take Timber. We get around 30 million. It looks like. So I would take him. So I'm going to write down these amounts just to make sure that I stay within the 150 million. So 150 minus 30 for Timber. I would take. Hopefully we would sign the likes of De Jong. Now if we get De Jong for 50 million, so that was 50 million sterling. So we say 60 million euros. So that's 90 million. Then we have Darwin Nunez. I think we could get him for around 50 million by all accounts. Okay, so that's 140. Now, we also need a right back. I would go for Nottingham Forest Spence, which you could get for 20 million. I think he's a fantastic up-and-coming right full. And finally, I would go for Calvin Phillips. So you could get him for 40 million, hopefully. Now, if Leeds get relegated, that could be less. Now, so that's 90 and 50 is 140 and 60. Now, that's 200 million. So we're down 50 million. Now, we're going to sell Aaron Wan-Bissaka, which you would probably get maybe 20 million for. So that brings it to 30 million. Now, we're talking net here. We're also going to be selling Dean Henderson for... Right, if 40 million is too much, he'll probably go for 30 million. So then, straight away we're back to plus 10 million there. So I think good business can be done. I think if we can get the players out to add to the transfer kitty, then absolutely, I think them 5 players can be brought in, and they're all quality players. I think they are all quality players, and it would make for a great Manchester United squad next season. Also, we're bringing back the likes of Donny van de Beek is coming. Anthony Martial, if he stays. Now, if he's gone, if he's sold, you could maybe get another 30 million for Martial. That would give you another 40 million to play around in the transfer market. So by all means, I think there's good business to be done within the summer. Let's see if Manchester United can do it. Let's see what everyone is saying. Williams, Henderson, etc. Sales, yeah. I said if Leeds get relegated, Phillips is 25 million. Yeah, I agree. Bargain of the summer, without a doubt. And I think you can get players same quality as Phillips for half the price in Europe. And Kieran says, I agree with you with Phillips. I think he's an absolute baller, without a doubt. And let's see what the guys in YouTube are saying. Mickey says, we look at Ronaldo. He nearly went to City. What would you have... that would have been a bigger blow. It would, without a doubt. Don't think many of us would have been bothered if Pogba had went there. Yeah, 100%. After watching the Rangers final, Ramsey could be a great player Bassi could be a great player for a potential target. Young and moldable into the system. Yeah, without a doubt, he is a very good player. Alex is in. Sorry, it was at football training. No problem, Alex. we're getting close to the end now, but by all means you can watch it back. It's going to be up on YouTube. And Albie says, yeah, with you on the 5, especially Timber and Phillips, without a doubt. But yeah, I mean, I think there's good business to be done, guys. Absolutely. And I'm looking forward to, not that I'm looking forward to the game being over on Sunday, but I'm looking forward to getting into the transfer window and into the summer and see what kind of business United can do. Maybe get that first signing in the door and you know, the excitement around it, and you know, Ten Hag getting his feet under the desk and doing his first interviews with the club and things like that. So it's you know, it's an exciting few weeks ahead. Let's see, we have 3,500 likes on TikTok, guys. Thanks a mil. Smash that like button there. We'll try and get up to 4,000 before we finish. Joe is in, says, surely Van de Beek will flourish next season under Ten Hag. Well, I hope he does, to be honest. I really do, because, you know, he's been a fantastic player for him in the past. So I don't see why he can't. I think maybe, you know, his confidence was stubbed when Solskjaer was manager, not giving him game time. But yeah. Robert says, what about Ericsson on a free? Absolutely. I've mentioned it in a few videos now about Ericsson. I think he'd be a brilliant signing. You know, and it'd be a great bit of business. And Superfast says, people talking about deals all done by June as well. That's something I said before. I think the quicker we can get these players in the door and Ten Hag to get his squad together, the better, because I would hate to see United, and again, the league is starting earlier this season because of the World Cup. So I think the sooner we can get players in the door, I would like to have 99.9% of the squad going on the pre-season tour together. So absolutely, the quicker we can get them done, the better. And yeah, so that was basically all the news. There was a couple of small things. Darwin Nunez supposedly has come out and rejected Newcastle and Manchester United because they haven't had Champions League. But again, them reports have been retracted today, and saying that he is open to he is keeping all options open. So we'll keep a close eye on that one, but there hasn't been much talk about it in the last few days. But again, like we said previously, that doesn't mean that it's gone away. You know, if it was to, you know, if United wasn't a destination for him, we would know by now. But yeah, that's it in relation to the transfer show, guys. I really want to thank you all for your comments. It's been a great chat, both on YouTube and on TikTok. If you can, please share this with as many people as you can. Our channel, our videos, you know, really would appreciate it. We're going to try and build it up as much as we can over the summer. So once pre-season starts, I'm going to be doing live watch-alongs for the pre-season tour. Now, I'm probably going to be doing them in the middle of the night, given that they're in Southeast Asia, I think Australia. So there's going to be some early starts, but I'm really looking forward to them. So, you know, share it with as many people as you can. And you know, hit the like, hit the follow, hit the subscribe buttons. We're on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram and Twitter. Go over and follow us on Twitter. That's where you'll get most of the updates about videos and stuff like that as well. But I really do appreciate it. We're going to be back on Sunday, obviously, for the watch along. Absolutely massive bunch of fixtures on Sunday. We have relegation still to be settled, we have the league title still to be settled, and then of course Manchester United are going to be, you know, need 3 points to guarantee Europa League. I'm gonna have them all on here myself, so I'll be keeping everyone up to date on it. But obviously Man United, as you know, is going to be the main one for us. But yeah, listen, thanks for everyone for tuning in, guys. I really appreciate it. And yeah, we'll see you on Sunday. Make sure you like, follow, subscribe, share. I really appreciate it. Thanks a lot, guys.